Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum recently, as both the PvP Dodgers and Fruubi hold out for yet another day. KOTT news crews were able to catch up with Syndicate leadership after their fight in Cutlass Keys 2 nights ago. All right, my friend, congratulations once again on your hold here in Cutlass Keys, keeping it down. How do you think it went out there tonight?
I think it went pretty well. We had our friends over here on the floor waiting to get their cheeks clapped. It was fun.
Was there anybody whose efforts out there you might like to highlight?
All of our friends did an excellent job. They're all great. See all of them right here, right below.
Right below. Let me take a look. There they are. Hey, everybody. While in Cutlass Keys, KOTT News ran into a new refugee to the island, looking to get more involved in the action.
But you know what? I know this game is one of those games where solo experience, yeah, you can get a little bit out of it, but I know this game is definitely a team, type of game. Yeah, I haven't done any kind of group content at all in this game, so I'm looking forward to trying it out. And I know that there's so much content in this game I haven't tried out yet, so I'm really looking forward to doing that.
In local news, to commemorate the expected fall of the wall, free items are being offered through the tertiary exchange. Be sure to get yours while available. Turning to the weather, and after another afternoon and sunshine keeping the day clear of corruption, the tides will turn after nightfall as emboldened forces will attempt invasions through 30% of the island. 2 bouts on the title card for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Marauders of CB4 assault the Syndicate forces of Rogue Reavers for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. Gusto and the boys slog into the bog of the peat moss fields of the Fin, onto unaccustomed territory in order to perform the sweatiest of performances yet. The Rogue Reavers have been getting hit by both factional conflict and invasion forces nearly every day this week, but that has only hardened their resolve to stand tall. Later, the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters challenge the Syndicate forces of Gray Esports for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. The forces of Here Be Monsters seek to expand their empire by challenging the heavyweight champs for this critical central corridor controlling region. Making their second hold of the keep, the forces of Gray Esports have been spending their downtime finishing the Hamlet's walls before the fall. But that kind of training is what champions do. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic changes in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of CB4 managed to outmaneuver Rogue Reavers and capture the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. In other breaking news, under guise of invasion, the Spice Lords of server number 187 Healer sell the entirety of their spice production facilities in First Light to the Covenant forces of the Hardstucks. News of a sentimental investor who was willing to offer 250,000 virtual game currencies in exchange for the entire spice operation and a night of cardboard skirmishing for their company. Anonymous Marauder sources close to KOTT News have echoed this information. However, new Covenant leadership have yet to make an official announcement. KOTT will bring you more on this story as it develops. Returning to our top story in Weaver's Fin, KOTT news crews caught up with Gusto and the boys celebrating their victory. Well, sure, an unexpected victory, if you don't mind me saying, in Weaver's Fin. Congratulations in the afternoon matinee. I was preoccupied elsewhere. Do you care to tell us about how the fight went?
It was a real tough one, John, honestly. We came out there half cut. We did our best, and like always, role players will prevail. That's what we do out here. We just try to have fun. I mean, the real reason why we haven't took a territory or won in a long time here is we've really just been slowing down and drinking, right? So, but now we're back at her, harder than ever. So if anybody's looking to have a good time, we'll be out here role playing.
Turning to the weather, and once the sun finishes its journey across the eternum sky, keeping the day bright for farming, a southern warm front will skirt the southeast edge of the island, giving rise to a 20% chance of invasion along the shorelines. 2 official submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of the Playhouse assault the Syndicate forces of Afiravum Esports for control of the northernmost territory of Morningdale. The Playhouse forces strike again in their effort to secure land on the island, this time seeking to secure the sacred land of the Covenant to the northeast. Afiravum Esports have been spending their time ramping up Hamlet upgrades prior to the upcoming fall, but they're always prepared to defend the Hamlet from aggressions. Then, the Marauders of CB4 mug the Syndicate forces of Trenhard Esports and attempt to steal away the financial capital of Windsward. Gusto and the boys assault the vault, attempting to heist the island's central hub and use the funds to host the greatest concert party in history. But Trainhard Esports are nearly finished with Hamlet upgrades for the fall as well, and aren't about to lose it all to a bunch of little-known rappers. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of the Playhouse secure the northernmost region of Morningdale. KOTT News crews caught up with Playhouse leadership and asked about how it went down. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale earlier this afternoon.
Oh, appreciate it, The Playhouse was, we came to play.
You sure did. Well, would care to take us through it? You're awfully excited. How did it go out there?
It goes back to, where, we were like Tupac, from the West Coast. And we had to beat Biggie Smalls from the East. And, I really think that today showed what West Coast can really do.
What is going on here in Morningdale now? In 2 days' time, 2 days' time, your repairs and upgrades are set to be complete or were set to be complete. Now what's going to happen with these nearly finished projects?
You know what, John? That was a really deep question. I don't know how to answer that. However, I can speak with the bottom of my heart that we won this territory. Smoked the East, guys. What was it, like a 5-minute war wrath? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Town boards? What are town boards? We don't know. We're a PvP company. Shout out all the people who helped us. HBMI, TropX, Nirvana.
Let's be fair.
Them.
We only did to them what they've done to others, okay? It was only fair.
I agree. I would like to reiterate, East is nothing compared to West. Tupac versus Biggie. We all know who actually won. In this story arc, one lives, one dies. And Morningdale is a perfect representation of that.
Oh, and one last thing. I would like to say go Fort Wuhan.
If it wasn't for Wuhan, we wouldn't be here now. Hopefully that answered your question.
Later in Windsward, an unusually large mercenarial force was noticed in the payout line, which ran tightly into the main hall. KOTT News crews waited patiently to finally speak with esports leadership. Hello, Beyond Climb, JChalant, KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions, sir? Thanks for taking the time to stop and talk to me. I sure do appreciate it. Congratulations on your victory here tonight. The burning question in everyone's mind around Eternum is this: are the esports organizations in general a collective that are willing to sell off pieces of the land to other factions?
Yeah, so earlier today we sold Morningdale to the Playhouse. We sold that off to them. We were planning on selling Windsward to the company that attacked, but they backed out last second. but a majority of our players will be heading back east, so whatever happens with the land, and more than likely whoever attacks next will get the territory.
What about the upcoming city improvements that are pending this week in 2 days' time? Will those be completed, do you think?
Oh yeah, 100%. Everything will be taken care of before the settlement's handed over to the next hand, whoever that may be.
KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and would you look at that, the sun streaking across the sky for another beautiful afternoon. But look out after night falls as the temperatures drop and invasion forces strike at 30% of the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of RAR attack the Syndicate forces of Want to Sell DM Boptical for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood, attempting their pilgrimage to meet with the spirit of the woods. RAR, come prepared to channel their inner bear and brawl. Without confirming their intentions, it would appear that Syndicate leadership in Brightwood have decided that they may want to live somewhere less bear-infested. But if they haven't sold it, they'll fight to keep it. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Good morning, Eternum. JChalant, KOTT News, and I'm here in the early morning hours after rumors of the Western Death Wall receding and allowing entry. The citizens of Eternum were quick to secure the route and establish a shrine transport network hub near the entrance to the desert region. It should be noted that the secondary entrance to the revealed region, previously reported on by this network, has also been hastily improved overnight, and is the closest alternative route to reach the first actual outpost in the desert region. But beware, my fellow Eternums. If you enter the region without sunscreen, you will perish. But fear not. Syndicate members seeking a non-bear urine-infused SPF blend can start their journey in Mountain Home. Simply combine a couple fish oil with some locally abundant mountain plants, and you're all set to adventure. Covenant forces were quick to make their pilgrimage to the desert, having positioned themselves in Ebonscale beforehand and claimed the region in the name of the Spark early this morning. Discovered in the wastelands, an empty hamlet, apparently built by more advanced civilization, has been claimed by right of legitimate purchase by the forces of Here Be Brimstone, in accordance with the Week 1 Accords. Mission board sign-ups are available for citizens who wish to endear themselves to the region. This news marks the conclusion of the second chapter in Eternum's history and enters the third as this new region becomes available. In other news, that wasn't the only dynamic change in Eternum last night, as the forces of RAR complete their pilgrimage to the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. KOTT News crews caught up with company leadership and asked them about the fight. Hello, sir. Congratulations on your victory here in Brightwood tonight. As I understand it, the property was for sale. Did you purchase it, or did you come in and take it by force?
We purchased it. I will be completely 100% honest with you. They are exiting the server, and as one big company leaves, we're using this as a staging ground for our new company merger that's going to be coming in shortly.
All right, so you said the merger coming. Now, based on the banners you're flying here today, is it safe to assume that you will be coming together with the Covenant forces of Royal Bums?
There will be a three-way merge. Big company coming that's going to be able to help protect the help protect the territories, and help protect the server as a whole.
Is there anything else you might like to say to the citizens of Eternum while you're here?
I just want to say thank you for everybody for being supportive of my company and my friends, and any movements that we have made have been met with support and admiration from everybody, and I really appreciate everybody.
Despite the distractions of a possible escape from the island through the recently discovered region, local civic leaders are going forward with fall festivals. The Ebonscale Tourism Council would like to advise its citizens to refrain from unlicensed pyrotechnic displays during this season, as upkeep services sweep fallen leaves down the mountain. They apologize for this inconvenience and thank you for your patience. Full onsen and hot spring access is still available to all members of the community, regardless of faction, in the deluxe springs of the lower levels. Turning to the weather, and it looks like the sun is going to spend most of its time near the new area today, so look out for corrupted invasion forces getting aggressive through 30% of the island. 3 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of DBA assail the Covenant forces of Order of Chaos for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. The Marauders of DBA scramble in the confusion of the new region's reveal. As civic leaders posture for control in the desert, DBA will strike at the spice. This will be Order of Chaos's first defense of the spice production facilities since acquiring it last weekend under undisclosed conditions, but can they keep it? Later, the Marauders of CB4 assault the Covenant forces of Beach Bums for control of the always uncontrollable Restless Shore. Gusto and the boys fight on back-to-back nights after having performed a ceremonial tea party in Cutlass Keys last night. The Beach Bums have been spotted in the high deserts of Brimstone all day long, but will they fall back to protect their staging grounds? Meanwhile, the Marauders of PvP Dodgers challenge the Syndicate forces of Gary's for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. KOTT News spoke with PvP Dodgers leadership last night and have been informed that though recently non-aggressive, the changing topology of the land calls for action. On the other hand, the forces of Gary's appear to have disassociated with the esports group collective, so may be standing ready to defend their belt for another round. We'll bring you more on these top stories as they develop tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of PvP Dodgers become the new heavyweight champions of Eternum. But that's not all. PvP Dodgers then sprung immediately into action, improving the town infrastructure as no one ever before. Overnight, they were able to complete the entirety of the city's defensive walls and had enough time to upgrade housing and thoroughfares. But how is this possible, you ask? By secretly working on efficient use of their people power while dodging PvP. They were able to conduct their training in Monarch's Bluff, where these marauders turned master craftspeople perfected their art improving the bluff, largely for the citizens, but also for the monarch, who had their throne room completed at the crest of the bluff. Citizens are invited to come and experience the Great Chair and learn a little more about the hamlet. In other news, the Spice Lords of Order of Chaos are hosting a best-looking house contest on the 31st of this month. Residents can win gold prizes while viewing one of the most scenic vistas of the autumn. And while travel has become a burden in the production, harvesting, and transportation of spice, the nutrients provided by the rich mulch is what makes the spring harvest so fine. KOTT News Crews would like to alert its subscribers and those who are about to be about a free outfit available in the tertiary exchange for a limited time. Turning to the weather, and we have the sun once again doing its thing, cruising across the Eternum sky, keeping invasions at bay. But for some reason, as yet unexplained, the magnetic confluences of the island will give rise to a 20% chance of invasion at 2 tips. Only one submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Nirvana assault the Vault and the forces of Trendhard Esports for control of the island's financial capital of Windsward. The forces of Nirvana return to Windsward with an intent to have an accounting of the rematch they are entitled to in accordance with the Week 1 Accords. But Train Hard Esports may not make them exercise the rematch clause. As previously reported on by KOTT News, they may not even show up. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Breaking news across Eternum of a demonic avatar attempting to terrorize the land, literally attempting to spread fear. Citizens who encounter this creature should be aware of its desire to bring you in close and use its multiple strikes against you. Also, be on the lookout for various minions it may summon to help defend itself in combat. It has been discovered that these pumpkins are imbued with destructive magical energy that can be harvested to use against the beast. As such, local citizens seem more excited than terrorized. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. No change in the factional history of Eternum last night as the forces of Train Hard Esports show up in Windsward and stop the assault on the vault. Turning to the weather, and the sun will rise and fall as it always does, keeping the afternoon light and breezy. But around dusk, be on the lookout for a southern typhoon that may break land on the island as deep as the Central Corridor. 2 lineups submitted for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Syndicate forces of Hammer of Dawn assail the Marauders of Nirvana for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Hammer of Dawn forces return after taking a month hiatus to regroup and bolster themselves. With each fight more tactical than the last, will tonight be the night? The forces of Nirvana are fighting on back-to-back nights after being busted at the bank yesterday. But if history is any indication, they won't be too tired tonight. In the nightcap, the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters assault the Marauders of PvP Dodgers for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. Here Be Monsters spread the word of the Spark quickly into the northern desert, accumulating many new followers, but seeking more as they attempt to expand their influence. The Marauders of PvP Dodgers have been avoiding unnecessary conflict whenever possible. But when you come at them with your left click, they're gonna give you the old right click. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Here Be Monsters manage a last-minute victory on the Western Monarch's Bluff. We spoke with a company representative briefly after the fight. Congratulations on your victory out there in the Monarch's Bluff. How do you feel it went? Would you care to tell us about it?
I think it went really good. The new information we unlocked from Brimstone on how we can make our skin like stone and explode like TNT is awesome. We figured it out, you know. We took the points. We collapsed on point when it was needed. We got the wipes we needed, and we sieged the fort, took down the flag, and raised our own.
Excellent job out there. Is there anybody whose efforts you might want to highlight?
Big shout outs to Spillbro and Hex. Great job. Those guys did awesome.
Returning to our continuing coverage of the efforts to prevent the Marquis of Terror from entering Eternum, we spoke with the man responsible for sounding the alarm and leading the charge. Fear not, Salvatore, we have vanquished the beast.
Your battle has only just begun.
Well, okay, what more should we do?
Continue your efforts to banish Balfazu back to the Netherworld.
Can you remind KOTT News subscribers the scoop on its weaknesses?
Balfazu is particularly susceptible to the potent magic that animates the pumpkins. After you've defeated one, throw its head at the demon.
You sound a little frustrated. Is there anything that could cheer you up?
Grimhild.
Those wishing to cheer up Salvatore should bring him proof of accomplishment, for which he is offering various items in exchange. Turning to the weather, and despite the dramatic changes across the island, you can always count on the sun making its path across the... Where'd it go? But look out after nightfall as the temperatures drop and northern cold fronts roll across the island, bringing a 30% chance of invasion with it. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by the expected patch resets. But we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.